3 o'clock on a Wednesday. Welcome aboard the Postgame Show alongside Elijah Campbell. I'm Jay Phillips. So glad you are with us wherever you might be. Glad to have Elijah back after a day away. Well, sort of.
Good to sleep in.
I mean, he was here for a third of the show in spirit. He was at home, but he, again, had to play the role of Bill Gunter yesterday.
Yeah, getting up at 4:30 is never easier.
Ugh.
Did morning radio as an intern for a while in Nashville, and buddy,
I did it for 4 years, my man.
Wasn't ideal.
Ain't going back. Sorry. To Jen and Preston and Bill, you know,
You're troopers.
A hearty tip of the cap.
You guys are troopers.
But no, to use some old English, it shan't be me.
Ever again.
No.
Not if I can help it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if push came to shove and I just had to do
I
it.
really needed to, yes.
Yeah. But anyway. But good to have you back. Grayson Grider going to join us coming up in the at the top of the 4 o'clock hour. Top of the 4 o'clock hour. Oh, my gosh. They just went from kickoff of the Champions League game, which I am very nervous about, to the first papal vote. Black smoke. Black smoke. Seriously, they did.
Are you serious?
They were getting ready to kick off the game, and they went special report.
Oh no! I've just switched it over to CBS here.
Black smoke
in this studio.
All right, we know what black smoke means. Back to the game, please. Back to the game. Back to the game. For those who don't know, I am a massive Arsenal fan, and the Champions League semifinal is happening today. Arsenal must win. It's a two-leg situation. They lost last week at home. They have to win this game today by a goal. It's the equivalent for sports fans. Like, I'm a Broncos fan, but if you're whatever team you pull for in the NFL, imagine that team playing in the NFC or AFC title game, depending on your conference, while you're at work during a weekday instead of a Sunday afternoon. That's what I'm going through right now. That's what I'm going through. So I'm nervous, but I'm here to be a professional. I will do my very best to pay attention to what's going on. We joked about this a couple of weeks ago, that Elijah may say something, and I'll go, hey, absolutely. Fourth down plays are always tricky. And Elijah was talking about, like base stealing. But the
likelihood of that is very high.
But I will sound like I know what I'm talking about if, for whatever reason, for a moment, I am caught up in something else. But like right now, again, I know I'm not dogging the papal vote or anything like that. But black smoke, we get it. Black smoke means one vote taken, no pope elected. Let's go back to the Champions League.
Yes. This could be an email.
Yeah, right. At this point, it could.
Like, come on, CBS. This could have been an email.
So I may have to switch to Paramount Plus at some point in time here. But appreciate. And this is still a program that needs to find its way again. Now, this year, yeah. But, you can't just – if this program – and it's not gonna, right? But if this program were to be one that drifts into some form of obscurity the way men's basketball did for a long time, that's troubling. Because, again, it wasn't all that long ago where you were quite literally the premier program in the sport.
Those championships were in HD.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, and that's the hard part for most fans to buy into, is that you were not just one of. There was a run there where you were the best program in America, hands down. And so what do you do to even get back to being one of the top 10, 12 programs in the country? How difficult is that going to be in the modern era? How much money do you have to spend? Do you have the right leadership in place? These are all questions for the new athletics director to answer at some point over the next few weeks. Carolina has Auburn this weekend. David Ayer just handed me a forecast for the weekend with 40% chance of rain Thursday night, 80% chance Friday night, 70% chance Saturday afternoon. And my goodness, Arsenal just missed a shot. Oh, God.
They've missed two.
I know.
Because there was a header.
Yeah, I'm trying.
There was a header that missed just a little left.
Gotta. Yeah, they came out guns a-blazing. Got to score.
But, there is an example that South Carolina is going to face even this weekend with a team that was seemingly anchored in obscurity, that is now a top 10 team, And there's a really good chance that they are one of the top 8 seeds and can host a super regional if they're to get out of the regional. That's Auburn themselves. Like that. Like they seem to be that program that was cemented as the number 15 team in the SEC last season. They were atrocious.
And that's one of the things you and I talked about is that when you're now being compared to Auburn, like I appreciate what Butch Thompson has done to rebuild Auburn. They've got a nice ballpark. They have a history of some guys that could play, you know, when you go back a ways at least with guys like Frank Thomas or Tim Hudson or guys like that. And they've had a few others here and there, certainly. You know, Bo could play a little baseball. But by and large, Auburn has just kind of been like, yeah, we have a baseball team. And if they're good, cool. And if they're not, cool. I think Bama feels that way. I think I've told you before, I think for a long time, Tennessee felt that way. Kentucky felt that way. It's like, yeah, we have a team. Like, we like it. It's fun. And a few people go, you know, whereas Carolina, LSU, Florida, Vandy, sellout crowds, raucous crowds, you know, and it's just so, yeah, but now you're not being compared. And you make a great point, and you're right. And look, in today's world, can you change fortunes rather quickly? Yes, you can. You know, overnight, I'm not so sure.
It's going to take a roster overhaul.
Yeah,
getting the right pieces.
And I just don't know if you can do that here in one season. I mean, maybe you can. Maybe you catch some lightning in a bottle. But there's another thing, too, Elijah, is that you don't just want it to be that. You've got to find a way to get this thing back to sustaining itself in the new era. And that may be a lot easier said than done, you know, than just coming back for a year and going, all right, well, now what do we do? You know, so we'll touch on those things with Grayson and catch up on what he's been doing now that he's back home after a long time playing catcher in the bigs. We'll get into some more things with him. Speaking of the bigs, I guess we shouldn't have made a bet or anything for a series in May. It's not that big a deal. But Elijah's Reds and my Braves playing one another this weekend or this week, and the Braves, I guess, have already won the series. They've taken the first 2. They play again tonight.
They play 4 the series.
Oh, is it 4? Is it tomorrow as well? All right. So then then the Braves need to win today to win the series, or either do it tomorrow. Otherwise, it's a split, and that's bad. I don't need that.
Yeah, and if we did a bet on that, we'll have to do it for the next time because they will play each other again. Right?
Yeah, they'll see each other again. Somewhere up in Cincinnati.
We can do a season-long bet. Who wins the season series between them?
All right.
And right now, all I can think of is you would have to eat a Skyline chili.
What?
Eat Skyline chili.
I'm just blanking. What did we bet on for the for when you had to eat Rocky Mountain oysters?
Oh, that was the Broncos Saints Thursday night football.
Yeah.
Before the Broncos got really good, so really they were both really bad at the time.
Yeah.
And it was like a quintessential Thursday night football game between two teams that were not any good.
Yeah.
So we were like, you know what? Let's spice up.
Yeah, why not?
The excitement level for this game.
Arsenal is doing everything right now, but having the ball go in the daggum net.
Oh, they're going to torture you with this, too.
Good Lord. They just missed it. They just had one go wide by like an inch.
Game of inches.
I'm trying, man.
Trying so hard.
I'm trying. But I'm going to be.
They're not going to make it easy on you either.
No, I know. We have other news today. The Big Ten has released its fiscal year earnings from last fiscal year. So it's weird that they announced numbers for a fiscal year that ended 10 months ago. I don't know. I mean, I know it takes accountants a while to get all that done. So
I think they all got their revenue in pennies this year.
Yeah, maybe.
That would take 10 months to tell.
$928 million for the Big Ten. We'll get into some of that. The ACC has made some news today, too. And I suppose in some way, I don't know what this, I don't know how to look at this yet. You gave me a little, I guess, who was it? Ross Dellinger had a piece on this?
Yes.
So apparently, yesterday there was talk of Nick Saban having met with President Trump about some things with college football. And Lord knows more and more people in Washington are trying to do something, but nobody can get on any kind of same page. And now apparently the president has announced some type of committee without actual names to look into it. Well, I mean, okay. And again, I ain't playing politics here. I'm tired of Dems and the GOP and everybody else coming. Nobody's doing anything, man. Is this going to be the one that helps? And who are you going to put on this committee?
And can whatever you come up with still abide by antitrust rules to be able to keep you operating?
Right.
Like, that's kind of like the big thing too. Is it's not like the type of people that have control over this don't have like a similar interest in keeping this going. They do. They just would rather you'll have to pull that power over the athletes out of their cold dead hands. And I think without any player input, you're just going to have the same issue you have right now.
Well, yeah, and if you don't make a law that is, lawsuit proof, then it doesn't matter anyway.
Because it's going to require you to allow, student athletes to move around unless they are signing, contracts that they're legally bound to. But even then, there's so many other hoops to jump through. Like, that's just a small part of the equation. And if you're only acting within the interest of the schools, you're going to find yourself back to square one the minute somebody wants to sue over this.
You're going to be back in court. And, an executive order is not a law, and it is very easily challenged if someone wants to pick it apart. So, again, I don't care what party a president is from. An executive order is not binding in the way that college sports needs something to be binding. And I will say once again, for what I have said for a long time now, I don't know how many years, the number one problem the NCAA has been facing, and the reason it has been getting not just beat in court, but curb stomped in court, is because it has been attempting to restrict the rights of free Americans without their consent. And you can't do that. And if this order goes anywhere near to doing the same thing, guess what? Court.
And if you think, if there's a commission, that's going down to try to solve these issues, it would probably be best to have maybe some former athletes on it, people who would represent the voices or the viewpoint of a large part of this, essentially the workforce as to the product that's being put out every Saturday in a college football season. This is in Ross Dellinger's story. This is part of it here. He says, quote, details of the commission are for now being kept private, but the group is expected to feature college sports stakeholders, prominent business people with deep connections to college football, and perhaps even a former coach and administrator. Where in there did it say former athlete? It's not. You're all putting in people on this commission who all have the same interest, and those interests run counter to the people that have been taking you to court and kicking your ass in court for years.
Yeah. Well,
this will get you nowhere.
Clearly that last one is Nick Saban.
Yes, clearly.
And that's fine if Coach is on there. If he's one of them. But you're right. How about some players? How about Ed O'Bannon?
Yeah. Ed O'Bannon would be a perfect one on there because his suit is one of the
he got the ball rolling.
Ones. Yeah.
He got the ball rolling. How about Ed O'Bannon? Amongst a couple others.
They're missing the input from a large faction that is more so affected by this than just administrators and coaches.
Yeah. And I've grown weary of the grown-ups in the room continuing to treat, again, adults, young adults perhaps, but adults nonetheless, as if they're preschoolers. Yeah. That's why you're losing.
Mm-hmm.
So let's figure that part of it out. We'll get into some Gamecock sound for you, some interesting stuff from Shane Beamer. Speaking of court, could legal action be used in the Rasul Faison situation? Shane touched on that last night over in Aiken. We'll do that for you. Got into a few things on basketball. Elijah has more thoughts on some of the things Coach Paris has had to say. We'll do that for you as well. And again, in about an hour's time, our buddy Grayson Griner will join us right here in the studio. It's the Wednesday postgame show. Hey, if a new set of wheels is in your future, even in this unsteady and uncertain rate environment around the country, there's still no better place to get it done than Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. Sometimes the circumstances and your need don't always mesh, right? You might just have to go get a new car. Well, at Palmetto Citizens, they offer the terrific low rates on all new to 2021 models. Great options for older vehicles as well, and many of their plans come with no payments for up to 90 days. Plus, at Palmetto Citizens, they can finance over 100% of the retail or purchase price on those new to 21 models, and they offer additional coverage and insurance options that dealerships simply can't beat. In business across the Midlands since the 1930s, Palmetto Citizens knows what's up all around here. So go shop around for that next car. Then meet with the great pros at Palmetto Citizens, or even apply online right now at palmettocitizens.org. Nineteen minutes after 3 o'clock here on a Wednesday afternoon. Welcome back in. Jay Phillips and Elijah Campbell with you inside the Herndon Chevy Studios. The band back together after a day apart. But thanks to Terry for hanging out yesterday. Jack Veltri just pulling all kinds of duty around this radio station of late, man.
Doing full shows.
And the best we can give him is a. But it's here. I'm looking at it here. Look.
I see a yellow piece of paper.
This is for those watching on YouTube. I can't really show you too closely, I guess, but this is a Bill Gunner autograph.
Oh, wow.
That I promised Jack was going to get.
Well, now he's got to at least buy him a frame, too, so he can put it in it.
Yeah, but it's all, look how, and Bill just ripped it apart here. But we'll cut it and make it nice. Keep your head up and always reach for the stars.
How can you not be inspired? How can you not? How can you receive that piece of paper?
But it's generic. It needs to say to Jack.
Well, the message is applicable. For
It is. I mean, should we write on here to Jack?
That way he knows.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like a lot of famous people, they'll have like the to whomever. Someone else will fill that in later. You know, and then the person that you want the autograph from will he'll write the message and then their name on there. But then somebody else puts like to so and so. So if we do that, is that going to be okay, or should we wait and let Bill do it in the morning?
I think we should let Bill do it in the morning.
Sit this right here
to make it as fully authentic as humanly possible.
Did you get an autograph?
No,
for doing the morning show.
I filled in for him.
Yeah.
I didn't get an autograph. Now I feel slighted.
He's probably just going to tell you he's going to take you on the boat one day.
Well, that's the VIP experience. That's actually what we were hoping.
Well, it's an experience. How you label it. Wait till it's over.
Before judging if that's the VIP. That is the proposed VIP experience.
Yeah. Just letting you know in advance. You know, potential.
I will take a boat trip in exchange.
Yeah.
Exchange for the autograph.
It sounds nice. Real quick, before we get into some Gamecock football, I'm going to get back to baseball and remind you the Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union Grand Slam giveaway is still in full effect. If a Carolina batter hits a Grand Slam, you win the cash in the pot, which is currently at $425. Palmetto Citizens will drop $25 in that pot after every game if there isn't a winner. Actually, they'll do it every game anyway. So if there's a winner and somebody wins the whole pot, the next day it just goes back to 25.
Yeah, we'll start over.
But you have to register at 1075thegame.com. You'll see it. Just go to our webpage and find the Terry Ford clicky spinny thing that says Grand Slam giveaway.
It'll be the first thing you see when you pull up the webpage.
Is that a prediction or is that a new fact?
It might not be the clicky spinny thing is what you're going to see the first thing on there, but it might not be that slide. Okay. You might have to click through a couple times to go through the slides.
Let me get into something real quick before we hear from Shane, because it does matter. And I think you and I both have had people ask us about this, and I know I have for years, even before you and I started working together, and that's the Carolina Under Armour deal, which will run out at the end of next school year. And Chris Clark had a piece. It was brief, just mentioning it. And I know a lot of fans believe that Carolina needs to get away from Under Armour at some point. And try to be a Nike school, that maybe kids are more apt to want to go there if you're a Nike school, things like that. Look, Nike is clearly number one when it comes to those things. But Chris made a good point. 9 years ago now, I suppose, when that deal was signed and re-upped, if you will. I guess that was the second time that they had made a deal together. Chris reported it at Gamecock Central today that it was because the deal was more lucrative than any other that Carolina had. And I think he made it sound like maybe by a lot. Now, what percentage, more, I don't know. And I have asked folks over on campus about that. And it's always hey, when the time is right. Well, the time is getting there now. I would say as the school year starts and you've got one school year left on the deal, that Jeremiah Donati and his team will start to look at that. Chris made mention that TCU was a Nike school, so Jeremiah has dealt with Nike execs. And you bring everybody in. Everybody will make a pitch for you, And I say everybody, but Nike, Adidas, I suppose. Is Puma doing anything in collegiate sports?
Oh, not that I know of.
I feel like Puma does most of their stuff in Europe these days. Still a big company, but, So Nike, Adidas, and Under Armour. I guess Converse, Reebok aren't doing anything anymore either.
New Balance, I think, might have a school.
New Balance has a little bit, yeah. I don't know how much it matters and how much it doesn't. I think it does matter. I don't know how much.
Yeah.
And I don't know what kind of studies are out there that would suggest in one form or another that it attracts a certain number. I don't know. Again, there's some good schools that wear Under Armour in certain sports, right? I mean, doesn't seem to be hurting Auburn, at least in terms of basketball. Now, is it hurting them in football?
Is Auburn still Under Armour? I thought they might have changed.
Oh, I don't know. I'll check that out.
I want to say they did.
Texas Tech played for a national title when they wore Under Armour.
Texas Tech, yeah. Texas Tech. Where I think
Notre Dame wears Under Armour. So I don't know. I don't know.
Don't know how much it actually helps, but I will say that maybe from a visual standpoint,
yeah,
maybe a little more aesthetically pleasing.
And I
Nike
know
does
there
a
was
lot
a
of good stuff
time-
with uniforms and all that.
I can't say today anymore. I would like to believe that Under Armour is doing a better job of making shoes. I do vividly remember in the early stages of the first Under Armour deal, when Under Armour was getting into the shoe business, that South Carolina's men's basketball team basically went to the school, and then the school went to Under Armour and said, hey, until y'all make a better shoe, we're going to continue to let our guys wear the Nikes that they've been wearing.
Because Nikes are really good basketball shoes.
Yeah. And because the shoes weren't popular. They weren't good. People didn't like them. But that is something that again, and every stream of revenue matters. Every dime more that you can maximize and be efficient with is going to matter. But I just to let y'all know, again, Chris put that out there. Yes, it's absolutely up for discussion. And, I don't know when. I would like to think, probably by, say, around the start of next baseball season or so, you probably have a pretty good idea of who the next shoe and apparel supplier is going to be, so that you can begin to work with them and design things and such, with some of the things they like to do, so that by the time you hit summer and then get ready for the next school year, all that stuff is in place with all the equipment managers, and they get to know all their suppliers and such. But that is an interesting again, I don't know what kind of science there is to back it up. Let's get okay.
It is a high school basketball coach here locally who wished to remain anonymous.
But you verified this.
Yes.
Okay. All right, Coach. What you got?
So, hey, guys, love the show. Listen every day.
Thank you.
As I said, I'm a high school coach here in Columbia. So I wanted to chime on this. So you made the statement you didn't know how big of a deal it was. It's a really big deal for the athletes. One, and if you look at, and you guys can do the research, even Lenore Sellers a few weeks ago came to a press conference in a Nike jumpsuit. It's a lot about lifestyle. Like when these kids are out of class or just around, the city, they're wearing Nike. They're wearing the shoes and the gear that they like. A lot of kids choose not to come to Columbia or to play for the Gamecocks simply because of Under Armour. I can't really speak on how many times I've, been talking with a kid during recruiting or through the process, and South Carolina's not even an option because they're going to wear Under Armour. Whether it's cleats or whether it's the shoes during the season. Like, if you look at the girls' team, they post pictures all the time on their social media of when they're walking into the arena wearing Nike, wearing Jordan. And that's a big factor, and that's a big hurdle. Like, even Dawn Staley has to, make intentions about her outfits because she's a Nike girl, and she can't wear that, here. Or even, like, with Juju Watkins, like, that was a big part of it, not being able to have her Nike deal or wear Nike here in Columbia. And I'll let you guys, I'll hang up and listen to what you guys
Yeah,
say.
that's a great point. And thanks for calling in, man. Appreciate you. Look, like I say, I think it does make a difference. To what degree, I don't know. And I don't know how you could scientifically go out and sort of prove that.
Or quantify it.
Yeah, or want to even admit that to publicly either. But I imagine Jeremiah wants to hear from his coaches too. Hey, are you losing recruits because of this? The coaches tell you that too, like this one just did? We'll see. Lots more to do here on the Postgame Show.
we're all we're waiting to see what the NCAA says, but certainly we want to be able to do, everything in our power that Sewell's comfortable doing. We certainly want to exhaust all options if it gets to that point, but hopefully we get good news from the NCAA and we don't have to go to Plan B. Sure.
That's Shane Beamer at yesterday's Welcome Home event in Aiken discussing Rasul Faison, Carolina tailback transfer from Utah State. Welcome back in. Jay Phillips, Elijah Campbell with you if you're wondering what that is all about. Faison has applied for one more year of eligibility based on some previous rulings here recently that have allowed college athletes that spent time at junior college to not have the junior college time count against their 5 years to play for at the 4-year college level. And Diego Pavia is most notable with this ruling at Vanderbilt. A young man at Rutgers, forgive me, I forget the name. Also, now he had something a little bit different at Rutgers, which is why that question to Shane was probably asked. He filed suit and won in New Jersey, and so is legal action, that question was, are y'all considering legal action? Shane says, we'd like to exhaust everything first. I get that, and I'm not here to provide strategy to them per se, Elijah Campbell. But at the same time, it seems that when you threaten a lawsuit like Diego Pavia did, or like this kid at Rutgers, you get what you're looking for because the NCAA doesn't want to fight you in court because they keep losing. So is Carolina being nice about it? Yeah. Are they being fair about it? That depends on how you observe fair. I agree with Shane on the one hand. Sure, you would like to think that you've given the NCAA all the information they need to make a decision. But why did it take – well, it hasn't even finished yet. So why is it taking longer than one entire collegiate semester?
Which is inexcusable.
Yeah.
I mean, I was talking to Preston about this yesterday too, and we brought up the example here on campus. Like Miles Studi, who, of course, as we know, had blood clots, and that was discovered early in the conference season, so early in January, applied for the medical red shirt so he can be able to play this upcoming season, even though he would have played enough games to pass through that threshold. But so you have to apply for that waiver. And he applied for that waiver, and he got it, but he applied for that waiver and got approved in a significantly shorter amount of time because Shane, or I guess not yesterday, 2 days ago, at that first welcome home stop, said that they applied for this in January. So it would have been around the same time, maybe a little earlier than Miles Studi was able to submit his paperwork for the exact same thing. Not the exact same thing, but asking for the extra year of eligibility.
Yeah, waiver. Right.
Why is it so much easier for one player who filed after a previous player on the same campus to get his word on eligibility, and we're still dragging our feet with Rasul Faison? That's an NCAA thing that I can't fathom to explain.
And I asked, obviously rhetorically yesterday, how many people in Indianapolis work on this? And Shane made mention in a previous comment, the one you were alluding to, about January, and then they asked for something else, and we gave it to them, and then they asked for a third thing, and we gave it to them, all in January. Any of the stuff they're giving you is verifiable. I mean, it isn't like, I wonder if he really did go to that junior college. Well, pick up the dadgum phone and call the junior college.
Or look at the stuff that the school sent you.
I don't know. And I know, like Terry wasn't defending the NCAA yesterday necessarily.
That'd be a fool's errand.
But he said, well, they have a lot on their plate, and they're just, and I get it. But how many? I mean, is it one dude who's working a strict 40-hour week? Maybe, sometimes people take their work home. Or like for guys like you and me, life is show prep. Do I work a 40-hour week? It might depend on the week. I don't know. Right? And I know back earlier in my career, I promise you I was working a lot more. I was working Saturdays and Sundays. There was plenty of times I was working 7 days a week. And that's not a complaint.
That's the reality.
That's the job.
Yeah, that's the reality of the job. Right.
So, if it matters to these kids, and as I said yesterday too, in all seriousness here, you're at the end of the semester. It's over. Graduation is, I think, tomorrow at Carolina. So the semester's been over a few days. But as it gets into June or July and kids are back on campus taking summer courses and things like that, and this young man still doesn't know, Carolina can't go back in the portal. You just went and got a kid who ran for more than 1,100 yards. You're expecting him to be I said yesterday, your RB1. Now, I don't know what percentage of carries he's going to have, but I have it in my head that they'd probably like him to have about half of their carries and then split the other half amongst Attaway or Fuller or whomever they got, Howell, and see what happens. That's a supposition based on kind of how they used Raheem Sanders last year.
Right. And I think you'll see a very similar thing, too, because in Faison's career, especially last year, I mean, he was the bell cow back for Utah State, got the majority of the carries and ran for over 1,000 yards. Oscar Attaway is a good runner. He's a different runner than Faison. He's more that change of pace back. And in the 4 years that, Oscar Attaway's been playing Division I football, he's never led a team in carries. Like he has been the solid number 2 change of pace back at North Texas and here at South Carolina. Like that's the perfect role for him. The reason you pick up someone like Faison is so you can divvy up the carries a little bit, where one guy can maybe have a little more of the lion's share of those carries, while also keeping somebody like Oscar where his value is being the change of pace and being able to be a situational running back and excelling in that role. It would definitely change the outcome, or not the outcome, kind of your outlook on what this running game is going to be next season if Faison's not cleared to play.
Thank you to this person on Twitter who just hit us. I had not seen this in the last hour. This was posted at 2:26. Rasul Faison has hired attorney Darren Heitner of Fort Lauderdale to represent him. Darren Heitner on his Twitter bio says he focuses on sports, entertainment, intellectual property, and business law. And he teaches NIL at the University of Miami Law School, in addition to having his firm. So there you go. All right.
So I guess
good.
Those wheels are in motion.
Good.
Yeah. Because, I mean, you gave them plenty of time to get back to you. You gave them everything that they needed.
You had 5 months. I mean, come on, man.
This isn't 5 days.
Right.
This is 5 whole months to hear back on this.
Tara and I were talking yesterday about this, too. And I said, look, I'll give you 5 weeks for this. Maybe a touch longer, 6 weeks. But what are you... we joked like, your folder slipped under the printer, man. My bad. Or like you have the big desk calendar, the one you can write on, the one that's like, 3 feet by 2 feet that like fits on the big part of your desk. Mm-hmm. Oh man, it's stuck under the June page, and I just I didn't see it. I am so sorry. You're in. Like, what are we doing here?
This shouldn't take this long.
All right, good. Thank you. Thank you to
some ruling.
To that person on Twitter for hitting us. They don't have it. It says Gamecock Fandom, which that could be a lot of people. But whatever your real name is, thank you. Real name.
Yes. Or if your full government name is Gamecock Fandom.
If you change it, maybe you hire Darren Heitner to change your name. I don't know.
He is an attorney. Yeah, I mean, he would at least be able to tell you how to get that done.
You can pretty much change your name to whatever you want to change it to.
Yeah. It's a beautiful freedom.
I don't know if there are exceptions, to be honest with you.
I don't know. Maybe.
I mean, can they really? I mean, yeah, I don't know.
You can market and remarket yourself as whatever you want to be.
Why not? Like World Be Free in the old 70s NBA. I forget what his real name, his original name was.
And Kyrie Irving, if he wanted to, could have been World B Flat.
I still don't understand flat earthers, man.
Never will.
I just don't get it. Like, I mean,
this is a problem we solved, 500-600 years ago?
At least. But I mean, what do you think there's an edge you're going to fall off of?
Go find it for me.
Yeah, that's what I want to say.
Go find it for me.
Go find it. And Kyrie could afford it.
He could. You can get him a little sailboat and sail off the edge.
A big sailboat or a plane or both. You're listening to the Postgame Show. Apropos bump here as we bring you back. I Fought the Law. That's the Clash version, I know, but nevertheless, thanks to our buddy Kevin Miller, Gamecock Central, with a little bit more on Rasul Faison hiring NIL attorney Darren Heitner to represent him. Heitner says in a tweet, Rasul Faison submitted his waiver request to the NCAA. I will be urging the NCAA to prioritize providing a decision on his request for an additional year of eligibility. And Kevin makes a good point here. Neither party, Faison nor his attorney, Darren Heitner, said that they had filed a lawsuit. I would imagine you get a letter first, right?
Yes.
Get a letter. All right. Will from Lexington is up next on the Postgame Show. Hello, Will.
Hey, Jay. So I'm watching this soccer game right now, and I want to understand, is PSG being up 1-0 good? That's good, right?
Not if you're an Arsenal fan.
I'll answer that for you.
Well, yes, Jay. I think this is very good, Mr. Jay. I would like to see more Arsenal, but I really like this PSG team now. I want to understand, why is Arsenal down right now? What are they doing wrong?
They're not putting the ball in the back of the net, and they allowed a counterattack goal to go in.
Well, that seems like a shame, Mr. J. I wanted to know. I saw that great morning host that y'all had earlier. I think it's the William Gunner guy. He put a great tweet out. I was expecting some soccer talk, so I was hoping to hear from you.
Well, I wouldn't say he's a great morning host. He is a morning host. There's a fact. You know, putting adjectives on there is an entirely different story. I heard raving reviews about the one morning that Elijah Campbell spent filling in for that guy. So
yeah, Elijah, don't do that anymore. I got more texts. People want me fired.
Boo! Don't fire Bill.
Wait. I thought
Will,
this was someone
Will
else.
in Lexington.
So is this the esteemed Bill Gunner, host of the early game on 107.5? Your accent fooled me. I didn't know it was you.
Great disguise.
Great disguise. I've late lunch because of getting back into the swing of things. I was watching. We got the TV on up here watching Arsenal and PSG. I just wanted to call in and check on you.
I'm not doing well. If you really want to know, I'm not.
He is ill.
I'm not
Jay
doing
ill.
well. I'm trying to be better, but it's not working. And unless Arsenal scores twice, then things will go poorly. And as I said goodbye to my wife today, leaving the house, I said, I hope I come back in a good mood. And she was not really thinking about it because she just got back from something at work. And I was like, she's like, what do you mean? And I was like, well, if Arsenal doesn't win. And so in the back of her mind, she's like, I hope they don't win. But outwardly, she was polite.
But for those that don't know, when Preston and I can come in the morning, I can tell if there was a big soccer match on because our television is usually on USA Today or CBS Sports and not ESPN. So I know tomorrow morning we'll show up and it'll be on CBS here.
It'll be on LTX. Yeah.
W. All right.
I'll try to change it for you, but we'll see. It depends on how surly I am when I leave today.
Well, I knew the Rasul Faison news was huge, but I just wanted to make sure we were doing okay with the PSG Arsenal semifinal match.
Depends on who we is, but if we is me, then the answer is I ain't.
We is me and the mouse in my pocket, and we are having a great time.
Yes, but the Tottenham fan that is Elijah Campbell is happy. So that
good for you, Elijah.
All right,
you hang in there. You're doing yeoman's work.
Tell everybody over there to cheer for Arsenal. Thank you. All right, there's Will from Lexington on the program.
Totally not Bill Gunner.
Yeah, I didn't know it was him. Didn't even sound like him until he just broke into his regular voice.
Had you fooled? Had everybody fooled? No one knew. No one who was listening knew.
Idea. Yeah, I'm not doing well. I'm trying.
You're trying. You're holding on to some hope.
And again, I'll for those of you who tuned in, and maybe you're not a big soccer fan, I am. This is the equivalent, if you will, of watching your favorite team. If you pick your favorite NFL team, all right? So just picture that, whoever your favorite NFL team is, and then picture them playing in the conference championship game, so either the NFC or AFC championship game on a work day while you're at work. because that's what's happening right now for me. My favorite team is playing for the right to get to what amounts to the Super Bowl of European soccer. And they're losing by 2.
It's not looking good.
No.
So it's kind of like being down 14 at halftime.
Yes. Technically, it's now like being down 14 at the end of the quarter.
At the third quarter. Yeah, that makes more sense.
Because it's a 2-leg. So,
Aggregate.
yeah, we played 3 quarters, and it's 2-0. One half of soccer to go. But you know what? They can score twice and then take it to extra time and see what happens.
There's always a chance. Not over yet.
But I do know this for a fact. If they don't score twice this half while keeping Paris from scoring,
it's over.
It's over. I do know that. Grayson Griner coming up next hour. Y'all keep it here. Integrated Media, the best in the Midlands of South Carolina and beyond when it comes to installing the latest in home theater technology. Beautiful Sony or Samsung televisions, amazing Dolby Atmos sound throughout the entire house. They can mount the speakers into the wall, up in the ceiling, or you can choose to have a split system of Sonos speakers that you move around. And listen, I got some Sonos speakers. They sound amazing. Maybe you'd like to be outside watching your favorite team or your favorite shows while you're also maybe around the pool or on the back porch grilling some burgers. They have outdoor equipment that looks and sounds just like the indoors does, but made to be outside all year long. Yes, even in the rain and in the heat. Trust me, amazing stuff. And control it all from an app right on your phone. Want some of that and more? 803-948-8327. Nobody better in home theater than my friends at Integrated Media. 4 o'clock on this Wednesday. Welcome back in. Second hour of the Postgame Show coming at you from the Herndon Chevy Studios in downtown Columbia, South Carolina, along with Elijah Campbell. I'm Jay Phillips. Thank you so much for being on board with us. Former Gamecock and Detroit Tiger Grayson Griner will be with us coming up here in about 15 minutes. He'll be right here in studio, too, hanging out for a bit. We'll talk about what he sees and, quite honestly, doesn't see when it comes to the current Carolina program. He's been doing a lot of TV work covering this ball club, so he has a pretty intimate knowledge of who they are and what they've been all about this season. And talk about his time in the bigs and what he's been doing post-playing career. You know, like he's working on his golf game a little bit. He's a dad.
Nice. All
those kind of things, you know. I know he's an integrated media customer as well. So I bet he has more TVs than I do.
He might. We'll have to ask him. There's only one way to find out, and that's by like getting to ask him.
Yeah, again, the only dumb question is a question not asked. Grayson, how many TVs are in your house?
Like, first thing, do you have a boat? Bill Gunner's got a boat.
That's the way we should ask it, too. Grayson, Bill Gunner has a boat. How about you? It was nice of Bill Gunner to call and check in on me. He seemed genuinely concerned.
I'm only disappointed that he didn't bring up that thrilling overtime game between the Hurricanes and Capitals last night, because he tweeted at us.
Yeah, he did
on
the Twitters.
He did. And I thought he wanted to call in and talk about Jakob Slavin's incredible goal in overtime. They stole one on the road.
A lot of road wins these last few days in the NHL and in the association.
Yeah, in the second round of the NBA playoffs, the road teams are 5-0.
Yeah.
And the Cavaliers really blew one last night. My God.
Steph is out for at least a week, according to the Dubs. Now, the way I see it, okay. Him being injured a little bit is a small price to pay for winning last night if he can return, because you basically, with that win, even if you lose game 2, you still set up a best of 5 where you have 3 games in your gym.
Yeah. They stole home court advantage last night.
So if you don't play in game 2, and he's not going to play in game 2, and he's most likely not going to play in game 3, then, you know.
Game 4 could be a toss.
I'd send him. I mean, I would imagine. I don't know yet. You may have seen because game 1 was in the Twin Cities. I'd have put him on a private plane back to the Bay Area and work with the team trainers, you know, in the facility. Go home to what I imagine is a pretty nice house somewhere out that way.
Yeah, I think he's probably got a couple bedrooms.
Got a little duplex.
Yeah,
right outside of town. He rents the other side just to offset the cost.
To make extra money.
Although in San Francisco, you might need to do that because apparently it ain't cheap to live out there. Anyway, no, I kid. But get him ready. You know, get whatever massage treatment, those little electrodes they put on you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and just don't do anything for a couple of days. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that his cardio will be okay if he doesn't do anything for a couple of days.
I think he's in good enough shape to be able to offset that.
But you do need him back at some point. But if he again misses this game and you lose game to the next game and you lose game 2,
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe they can hang around and make it close in game 2 enough to where luck can happen.
Well, you do like
their way.
They're defending.
Oh, their defense was awesome last night. That's why they've been so good since the Butler trade. I don't think they've been like specifically much better on offense with Jimmy Butler in the lineup, but he makes them a much better defensive team. And dude, last night they threw out a 1-3-1 in that first half. I cannot remember ever seeing an NBA defense break out a 1-3-1 zone in a playoff game, let alone in a regular season game. They threw that out in a playoff game, and it worked. It worked well.
You need to find out, and you probably can somewhere because you follow a lot of these analytics sites and the guys that put up those kind of things. How many times has the 1-3-1 been employed this season, or even in like the last 5 years?
If anyone has a Synergy account listening to this, please help your boy out. Because
how many times? Because I joked with you, maybe Minnesota their players hadn't seen a 1-3-1 since they were all in high school.
More than likely. Yeah, more than likely.
But you don't even see the 1-3-1 very much in college.
No. And if you do, you don't see it for more than a couple of possessions.
Yeah, it'll be like a possession or two. I mean, I remember, again, I kid a little bit here, but I tell you often about the brilliance of the Coach K video game.
Oh, yeah.
And how easily you could change defenses. And if you knew which personnel you had on the floor for certain teams, you could change defense with every possession with, like, whatever control B, whatever that button.
There's buttons that you could press on the fly.
I don't know. We played it on Sega Genesis. So, but that was like when it was late and tight, like you change defenses. Like you want to play man, but man wears you out. But if you can switch to like the 1-3-1 or the 2-3 extended, and
can you full court press with it too?
Yeah.
Oh, that's sick.
Oh, it was great, man. I love that game. But the ability to switch defense quickly was a real highlight of that game.
What a great video game. What a great
awesome.
feature.
It was awesome. And I again, they only made one version of it. And I know it had to sell. It was awesome. It really was, man. It was awesome.
What console did you play this on?
I played it on a Genesis. But it was EA Sports. I mean, it wasn't like it was some obscure thing. I mean, it was EA. And I think they just wanted to get into a college basketball game. And
do you know if it was made for anything else? I might try.
Well, there's one thing about it.
Summer to get it.
I'm dead serious. There's one thing about it that people complained about. And it's funny because people get it. Again, it was called Coach K College Basketball. There was one school that was not featured. Everybody else was featured, Elijah Campbell. There was one school that was not featured in the historical teams, like the old UCLAs and the old like UNLVs and some of those teams, like the old Indianas, like with Isaiah. They had all those teams, right? One school. You know who it is.
Let me take a wild guess and say that is the University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill.
And I think that's why people were like, come on, man.
Coach K trying to get a recruiting advantage via video game.
Yeah. So you didn't have Chapel Hill on the game. But anyway, it was awesome. That was a really,
if it's on if it's on like another console, because I do not own a Sega Genesis, I feel like that would be hard to obtain now.
I still have mine. I still have the game. It's in a box. My wife is can't stand the fact that I have kept. I have every system. I still have. Now I will admit this. I do not have my. And for those of you of a certain age, like around mine, all right, I'm in my mid-50s. I do not have my original Atari. I do own an original Atari, but I bought it on eBay in the 90s.
It wasn't your.
It was not
original.
my
Yes.
Atari. My Atari eventually, I think, either got worn out or given away by my mother. Probably the latter. But I still, and I don't have like an old ColecoVision, which you may have never even heard of.
I have no idea what that is.
It was basically a step up from the Atari, but made by Coleco, who made a bunch of video games like in the arcade back then. My roommate had a Nintendo, the NES, so I didn't have, I never bought or owned a Nintendo. So the first system I bought was a Sega Genesis.
So if you still have it, that means I need to play this.
Yeah, I still have it, and I still have a couple of games. And I have, let's see, I have the original PlayStation that I bought. I have a PS3. I have a Sega Saturn, which was a disc game instead of cartridges, I mean. Yeah, I have all those. And my wife is thrilled that I have them. And original Xbox. Original Xbox. So I have one of those too. So there you go. Yeah, I used to love video games. Now I never get to play them. But Coach K was fantastic. Again, some just breaking news, and I don't know what comes of it as of yet, but Carolina tailback Rasul Faison, transfer in from Utah State, has announced today that he has hired big-time NIL attorney Darren Heitner from down in the Miami area. Didn't even put the two and two together that Darren represented Miles Studi in his case here recently. Again, they haven't filed suit. He simply hired him. And I imagine with Darren's expertise in this realm and the number of times that he has taken on the NCAA, that a letter will be forthcoming, I would say later today. I don't know. I would imagine that this will get the process expedited.
Yes.
In a good way. And
if an attorney gets involved.
I would certainly believe by the end of the week that someone in Indianapolis will have received a letter from Mr. Heitner on behalf of Rasul Faison. Again, what's taking so long in this? And just to catch all of you up, Rasul is asking for a waiver for another year of eligibility at this level. He gray-shirted 1 year at Marshall, didn't play there. Then COVID hit. Then he went to a junior college. Then he played 2 seasons at Utah, right? 2 seasons at Utah
2
State.
seasons, yep.
So he would technically either have 1 or 2 years left. I guess it's 1.
We'll take 1. We'll also take 2.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're
cool.
just looking for 1 at this point. But they Carolina, and Rasul submitted his paperwork for the waiver request in January. Shane Beamer mentioned earlier this week that the NCAA, had then requested additional information on 2 separate instances, but within a small amount of time between the initial submission and then a second and a third ask. All done in January when the semester started. Semester ended a week ago, basically.
Took the entire semester.
And you still hadn't done it.
And still have heard nothing.
Yeah. I mean, a whole semester, nothing. And that's not acceptable. Again, you can't say we're trying to do right by the kids
and then have them sit in eligibility purgatory for over 5 months.
Yeah, that's not cool. And again, if there's only one person that looking at these things, then you know what? I think Governor Baker needs to assign someone else in some other office to double the manpower and get some
quadruple it.
Yeah, something. And like I said, we joked earlier. Oh, sorry, man. Yeah, your file slipped under the printer. My bad.
I accidentally threw it away.
My
Put it in the
bad.
paper shredder on accident.
Yeah, I forgot.
There's just a lot of papers in
right.
here.
Yeah. My bad. Sorry.
That's how they're treating it.
Yeah. All right, Grayson's outside. He's ready to come talk a little baseball with us and more. And I'll do my best to let Elijah steer the conversation because I have to sit here and chew my fingernails and watch Arsenal try to come back and win.
Try to score 2 goals, which is not.
Or just come back and draw at this point and then go to PKs, which I'll take.
You'll accept at this point because that's better than losing.
It is better than not going to extra time or PKs. I promise you.
Right now, it's not.
It's not looking good. Don't. Yeah, it's just. I'm trying. All right, Grayson Griner, the former Gamecock and Detroit Tiger, in the house when the postgame show returns. Welcome back into the Postgame Show on this Wednesday. Jay Phillips, Elijah Campbell with you here in the Herndon Chevy Studios, and joined right now by the former Gamecock and Detroit Tiger, and now applying his trade in the real estate game. He is Grayson Griner, also doing a lot of stuff with Gamecock Baseball TV. How are you, sir? Good to see you.
I'm good. How about you?
Good, good. It's good to have you back. We work in the same building, but you're out a lot, so we don't see you as much as we need to.
Yeah, I don't make my way down to floor one
here.
very often.
You can't come slumming down here with us. Well, we're just glad you didn't get injured. We, as you saw, we're completely redoing our office portion here outside our studio, so we got crap all over the place. So
Yeah, well, it'll be nice.
it will be.
Yeah.
I don't know when it's going to get done, but
Eventually.
whenever Bill Gunner picks up a hammer and starts doing his part. But it is good to see you. Tell everybody what you've been up to.
Yeah, doing commercial real estate with Colliers. I guess I'm getting close to 2 years now. Retired from playing in May of 2023 and then started at Colliers in August of 2023. So took a little time off, trying to decide what I wanted to do. And then doing a lot of other things, giving a ton of baseball lessons to kids over at Carolina Playmakers off Shop Road, right near Williams-Brice.
Yeah.
Really nice facility. If anyone's never been, it's huge. It's like 17,000 square feet, cages, pitching mounds. It's really nice. And then doing the broadcasting for Carolina, which I love doing, just a way to free ticket to the game, which is nice.
Sure.
A great,
I think you could have probably got your way in anyway.
Great view. Get to stay involved with the program somewhat.
Yeah.
So it's been good. Three kids.
I was going to say, job one just got bigger. We were just talking about that off air. Job one just got bigger.
Yep, just had a baby girl on Halloween. So we got our hands full. We're having fun.
Yeah. Let's jump right in, and it's not anything that people like talking about right now, but you do have an additional set of eyes, if you will, on this baseball program right now. Mm-hmm. We know what it means to you, obviously, because you grew up here and played here before moving on to the bigs, but it's been tough to watch. Mm-hmm. And I wonder, from an expert point of view, what you've seen unfolding, where it just continued to kind of stay off track. I don't want to say that it was ever on track. I'm not sure. And I'm not saying that to be a smartass. I promise you. But it never really seemed to get going.
Yeah, it has been tough. As you mentioned, a guy that grew up in Columbia, and from the day I was born, I kind of always wanted to play baseball at Carolina. And still, one of the most important things in my life is following that program. A lot of people are very, very similar with all of Carolina athletics. So I don't think anybody saw this coming. When Coach Maneri was hired, I was like, he was a legend. When we played against LSU, he was staring across the dugout. He was a guy. He's still a legend. Yeah. So we had very high hopes. Obviously, the season hasn't gone as planned. I think watching just from the press box, watching the games on TV for the road games, I feel like teams just have to learn to win together. And in today's day and age with the transfer portal, you're not playing with the same guys every year after year. Like you learn to win as a team together. And they've been so close. You think back to the Oklahoma series, you think back to the Tennessee series. They're in a lot of these games. And offensively, I just feel like, we're stringing together, maybe we give up a 3 spot. We're stringing together 2-3 singles. We get into that big situation. We just haven't been able to get that big hit. And I really think, since that, it's kind of snowballed from there. Obviously, this past weekend got away from us a little bit, but nobody wants to see the program succeed more than me, and a lot of the alumni. We talk all the time, so hopefully we can right the ship here soon.
From a catching perspective, and so many catchers go on to coach and manage, and it's such a unique position to get to see the game quite literally from a different perspective. But obviously, you're there to see every pitch that gets thrown. And Elijah and I have delved into some of the numbers about just where the pitching isn't, is how I'll say it right now. What don't you see? That's what I want to ask you. Maybe that's an interesting way to ask it. But what don't you see from this pitching staff? So many more walks than their opponents in conference play. Such a much higher ERA in conference, a 4-run difference almost in ERA in conference play. What's not happening?
I think when, Coach Maneri's talked about it, we don't have a lot of guys that are pumping 97. When you throw 97, 98, you don't have to be very spot on with your location. You can miss middle. A lot of times it's not going to get hit. I remember when I was with the Twins as catchers in our catching room, they told us our philosophy is 0-0 pitch. We want you calling a fastball, setting up right down the middle. We don't want you working the corners, getting in disadvantage counts. And you can do that when you're throwing 97, 98. We have a couple guys, Jake McCoy, Sweeney, Russell. Those guys can touch 94, 95. But then when you look across the SEC, you look at Florida, you look at Tennessee, you look at Arkansas, they got 10 guys that can throw 95 plus. So I just think being a little too fine, knowing that you can't pump balls right down the middle can be tough on pitchers, and then you get yourself in disadvantage counts, and you do have to groove one to these good hitters. So it's kind of a cause and effect there. And the other kind of theme I've seen throughout the years, we've done a good job with Coach Rooney, who preaches getting ahead, getting to those 0-2 counts, and just making a mistake. Trying to be a little too perfect. And generally, when I was catching and a pitcher threw a really good slider, a lot of times I'd try and make it nastier and just leave it over the plate spinning. And I'd tell them, you don't have to make it nastier. It worked the pitch before. Just throw that same pitch, maybe a little more off. So maybe making a few too many mistakes in those 0-2, 1-2 counts, and then on the flip side, getting behind and walking guys. And
sticking with your area of expertise here at catcher too, I mean, at the beginning of the season, it was moving Talmadge behind the plate, and then as this team is basically the Murphy's Law team of the year in college baseball, he gets hurt very early on, and then there's not a ton of stability in terms of the catcher position. How much of an effect do you think that had maybe in like the overall team development process before we even got to SEC play?
It can be tough. Throughout the preseason, I think everyone probably knew that Talmadge was probably going to be the guy. He's a senior. He's transitioning back to catcher, but most of the main pitchers were probably thrown to him, whether it be in bullpen work, live BP, scrimmages, and then ultimately games. And then boom, he gets hurt. You're kind of moving on the fly now. You got to find out who your guy's going to be, whether it be Bakes, Kaufer, or Brayland. Brayland ultimately ended up winning the job, and now he's not only trying to hit SEC pitching, but he's also trying to get his staff through games, all the responsibilities that come with catching, whether it be first and third defense, bunt defense, pickoff plays, technology, whatever it may be. He's trying to balance all that as a 18, 19-year-old kid who wasn't necessarily thinking he was going to be in that position his first year. So I think he's getting better as the season's gone on. His Kentucky series was his best offensive series. He continues to make strides behind the plate. Like I said, he's an 18, 19-year-old freshman. I think he's got a bright future.
You mentioned it, and Coach has too, the power part of this, whether it's the power pitching or now to flip it over to offense a little bit, and the lack of power bats. Elijah and I looked on Monday. The OPS for the opponents is 955 in conference play. Carolina's is 741. Is it that simple too that maybe opposing pitching staffs just don't fear Carolina's ability to hit for power, to hit doubles in the gap, to hit the bombs that used to? I mean, is it that simple sometimes?
It could be, but I think some of it is game situation. If you have a big lead, your pitching coaches and pitchers are going to preach. They're not going to hit 7 solo home runs, right. Throw strikes, right. Let your defense play behind you. And we've seen us get in some holes early in games, and that just frees you up as a pitcher, frees you up as a defense. But losing Petrie hurts. Him getting injured. Obviously, he's a prolific home run hitter. And then some guys, that had some power haven't had quite the power this year. A guy like Kennedy Jones, and it's just hitting is contagious. You see guys leaving the yard. You feel a little bit better about yourself, but. Guys in the SEC are just so big and strong now. It's crazy. So it could be a little bit as simple as that, but I think some of it may have to do with just game flow, game situations.
Before I go into this, talking more so about the future, I was doing a little bit of research back here with our crack staff. Did you know that you are one of 2 Graysons in the history of Major League Baseball? There are only 2. There are only 2.
I did not. I couldn't name the other one.
Nope. The other one is...
There used to be one at Vanderbilt. I don't know if he...
Grayson Rodriguez.
Oh, yeah. I knew. Yeah, for the Orioles.
Yeah, you guys are the only 2.
He's a lot better than I am.
The only 2 Graysons in the history of Major League Baseball. So if you didn't know that for today...
I appreciate it.
Now you do.
Thank you.
Now to the not-so-fun part. Turning this thing around for next year. Paul says he's not going anywhere. He told us that on Monday. and you're going to have to really run it back and do a big roster overhaul. You mentioned the pitching, having to maybe bring in some guys who maybe have some higher end velocity, but what are maybe some other things that you think this program needs to do, and what might be one of its more pivotal off seasons that they're looking at?
Yeah, I think you mentioned it. Just bigger, stronger athletes. Think of the power speed combo. A guy like Nathan Hall comes in who provides power and speed, plays a premier position, and maybe not so much developmental guys that you think may have a bright future but have a chance to contribute right away. I wish I was better or could give you a better answer. Not being a coach, I don't really know how that process looks, especially in today's day and age of the transfer portal and having to not only recruit new guys but re-recruit your guys. So it's a tough situation. I think just getting in better, more quality players, and not necessarily, back when I was coming through, it was more, this guy may not be developed right now, but we see he's got a great frame. He's got some power. He needs some, some development and some seasoning. But getting guys to come in and say, they can contribute right away and help us win ball games.
Former Gamecock catcher and longtime big leaguer Grayson Griner in studio here with us. We'll come back on the other side. A few more thoughts on the Gamecocks, a little bit on like what my Atlanta Braves can do to not have another 7-game losing streak. They've been better of late.
It helps to play a team that can't hit.
Here's what's better than losing streaks: winning games.
I'll get you back in it.
Yeah, that's analysis.
That cures everything.
That's analysis right there, my man. You can take that to your.
I didn't realize they'd lost 7 in a row. Have they really?
No, not now. That's the beginning of the season.
I was
beginning of the
say.
season.
I knew they were struggling early.
Yeah, no. But you can take those nuggets with you to your next TV
appreciate
gig.
it.
Yeah, winning is better than losing. That's quality
That's a hot
stuff right
take.
there.
I don't know,
Thank you
man.
very much.
I don't know.
Do what I can. More with Grayson coming up.
From the Wetzel's Automotive Traffic Studios, I'm Elijah Campbell. The few accidents to get to you that are causing some issues out on the roadways this afternoon. Starting with one on Blythewood Road near I-77. Got one on Highway 602 at Old Orangeburg Road. I-26 eastbound at Augusta Road near exit 111. I-77 northbound over at South Carolina 277 near exit 18. Got one on North Springs Road at Risdon Way. And lastly, one on Reimer Pond Road at Wilson Boulevard.
Talking some Carolina baseball with Grayson Griner, the former Gamecock, Detroit Tiger. Played a little bit for Twins, Arizona.
I only got like 5 games in the big leagues.
Okay.
So
Well, that's
99% Tigers.
Yeah, I know, that's what I say. I just say you're a former Detroit Tiger.
Yeah, there
It
we
makes
go.
it a whole lot easier.
Yeah. My Tigers are doing good.
Yeah, they're doing all right, man.
They're awesome right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're in maybe first place in the AL or something.
I will check it out for you if you want me to do that real quick. What do you remember about going to the College World Series?
I remember we were there for a long time, which is always a good thing. So I actually went in 2010 and 2011 as a fan.
Right.
And commit. 2010, we were playing in a travel ball tournament. We timed it up to go out there during the College World Series, hoping Carolina would be there. I remember going as a fan to the Oklahoma game that was rained out for like 5 hours. Remember there being a tornado warning.
I say they're playing in the lightning.
We had to go into the basement of the hotel. But as a player, let's see what I remember. I remember Eric Payne's triple to beat Florida in the opening game. That was kind of the big moment of that game. I remember, disclaimer, I have the worst memory of all time.
I'm right there with
been
you.
hit in the head too many times. I remember Jordan Montgomery throwing well against Arkansas, I think. We had to beat Arkansas twice to go to the national title. All I remember from the Arizona series is somebody hit a big double for Arizona right inside the third baseline against Matt Price that kind of put that game out of hand. I remember me, Tanner English, and Joey Pancake were all at the bat rack in the bottom of the ninth in the final game. We were 3 true freshmen at the time.
Right.
And we all kind of looked, it was us 3 due up next.
Right.
And we all kind of looked at each other and were like, all right, well, this is up to us.
Yeah.
Tanner ended up hitting a liner up the middle that the guy laid out and caught, and I made the last out. I flew out to right. But like I said, I don't have too many. I remember walking past the dog pile, which sucked.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's some bits and pieces there.
Yeah,
of
well,
like
and
the field.
it's just because it's been that long, and I know y'all got to the Supers your next year, right?
Game
and then
3.
I'm trying 14. Was that the Maryland?
Yeah, we don't have to talk about
No,
that.
I know. I'm not trying to dredge it up. I assure you.
That team was good. Too.
They were,
We
man.
were
Well,
number one
I
in the
have-
country for a while, and then something, I don't know, we fell apart.
I have a daughter that went to Maryland, and trust me, one of the first days I was up there moving her in because everything on that campus is right there together. So her dorm was only a few steps from the baseball field and out on the outfield thing. And the first thing, I wasn't even looking for it. The first thing I saw was that, and I was like,
We picked a bad time for everybody to underperform altogether. It was rough.
But y'all still were amongst, as you said, amongst the finest in the country, and I don't. That's where I wanted to kind of lead you is to getting it back to the top, and a lot of that, as you mentioned, is a belief in what you do and who's leading you and things like that. Like in terms of that spark. I don't know how you just necessarily go out. You don't create it per se, right? But what would you say to some of these guys about how to remember what this program was? Because you and I were just talking off air. For a lot of young kids being recruited right now, they're just going to look at it and go, "Yeah, my dad talks about that."
Yeah,
but they don't know, and it's hard to just recapture some of that magic.
I think it starts with just winning on the field. Once you create wins, it just becomes a snowball effect. Fans are at the when we were playing, it was packed every night. It was awesome, and kids want to play in front of that. People want to play in front of that. thing about Carolina fans is they're unbelievable. There's got to be a winning product. We got to put winning product back on the field. And as far as a spark, like you said, you can't really create one. It comes with the winning. And I think like back then, it was a lot of guys that were from South Carolina and grew up wanting to play at South Carolina, and we took a ton of pride in wearing that uniform. Not saying guys aren't doing that now, but just there's no better feeling in the world than getting all together after the game, doing the alma mater together. It's just we took a ton of pride in that. Like I said, I think number one, and it sounds a lot easier than it is. You've got to win ball games.
Just go win.
Winning cures all.
Yeah.
It's the old saying, but that's truly the case most times.
When you were talking about standing with two other true freshmen in the ninth inning of a College World Series finale, there talking about I guess it's up to us. It kind of made me think about like what this group, a couple of freshmen that are really contributing right now, and what they can maybe do next year, because we talked about like what you can bring in, but if assuming that guys like Bo Hollins and KJ Scobie come back, it should at least give you a couple of pieces that you feel really good about, because they've contributed a lot this year. But what more do you think you can see of those guys maybe as being kind of some program, centerpieces moving forward as we're trying to kind of determine what the future of this program looks like?
Yeah, I've been extremely impressed with both of those guys, and Braylon, who's made strides like we talked about in the last segment. I think more specifically to Bo, his offensive approach is extremely advanced for his age. You don't hardly ever see him. You'll see it. I mean, it happens with everybody. You'll see him staying on the ball. He doesn't really chase very often. He just has a very advanced approach for a kid his age. I think his first hit was opposite field single in the gap. He does that a lot. And then Scobie, he might be one of the most advanced defensive third basemen or players really I've seen at this level. The ball just kind of finds a way into his glove all the time. He makes it look extremely fluid and very simple. So that's two guys that you can really build around going forward as freshmen. And they're going to take that step and develop and get better. It just happens. It comes with experience, playing games. That's the best way to learn, especially at this level in this league. So them getting the amount of, and Braylon, those three true freshmen getting the amount of experience they've gotten so early is helpful. And on the pitching side, guys like Zach Russell have gotten some experience. Ryder Guarino, some younger guys there too. So if those guys were sitting on the bench the whole season or redshirt, I mean, there's just no way to replicate the talent and the experience of playing on the road at a Tennessee or they can go to Tennessee this year, but playing on the road at where'd they play?
Arkansas,
Mississippi State, Arkansas, some big environment. Yeah. So that's all those guys have bright futures.
And where else? Kentucky.
They're on the road.
This will be those four, and then this is their final road series
at Auburn. Yeah.
And had a game at Clemson too.
Yeah.
They had to play, and that's a pretty raucous environment.
Yeah. And Eric Bakich has done a good job.
He has. They're
who when you look around the SEC, I mean, whether you've seen him in person or watching on the weekend, I mean, there's 12 or 14 schools that are probably going to the tournament.
Yeah.
Arkansas sweeping Texas the other day was impressive.
That was very impressive. I watched maybe one of those games on TV. They look pretty strong. The guys that we've had, me and Dave have called at home, Tennessee is very strong. Honestly, I know Florida started off a little slow.
They've caught fire.
Their offense, if they didn't lose Colby Shelton and what was the second baseman's name? I can't remember his name. They had a second baseman who, Cade Curlin.
Yeah.
Cade Curlin, who's out, I think, for the year. If they had those two guys in there, I mean, their 1 through 9 would be right up there with anybody. And it's still, their 1 through 6 right now is extremely very solid. A&M, I don't think anybody would want to play them.
And they started off
very similar to Florida.
Yeah.
But I think right now, probably the front runners, Tennessee, Arkansas. Georgia's a sleeper. Yeah. Georgia can hit the ball.
Georgia's RPI. Elijah and I were talking about it the other day. Georgia is in position to be a top 8 and maybe even top seed just because their RPI is so strong.
Yeah, I guess we can't really call them a sleeper.
I mean, because they have games with Clemson, they have games with Georgia Tech. Yeah. I mean, their non-con is good.
I don't number 2 in RPI right now.
Okay,
really,
as it stands.
I don't know much about them. Just I'm not calling the game. I don't really prepare that much or watch a whole lot, but I know they lead the nation in home runs. Don't know how their pitching is, but they'll be able to hit up there with anybody.
Yeah, And Wes Johnson, their head coach, did say he's not going to Mississippi State. So there's one name off of that list. About a minute left. Your Tigers are in first,
Nice.
by the way, in the AL Central. Just a game over Cleveland, 2 games over a surprisingly good Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
But
Bobby
right
Witt's pretty
there.
good.
And my Atlanta Braves are now 1 game under after an 0-7 start. So 17 and 18.
They're clawing
So
back.
They're
When's Acuna come back?
probably like 2 weeks.
That'll help.
Yeah.
He's pretty good.
The last I saw is that he's still working on his quads.
Okay.
And I was like,
I don't know what that means.
Yeah,
but-
well, that's what I said. I was like, did they not have, and in Florida, I was like, well, did they not have like a machine to do some squats?
The leg presses are fun.
At the
So,
ballpark
I think
in
we're
Atlanta?
all working on our quads. So.
Yeah, so I don't know. Good to see you. Congrats
Yeah,
on the
thank you.
new little one.
Thank you. I
Golf
appreciate
game's
it.
doing all right for you?
Yeah, it's okay.
And the integrated media system's doing all right for you?
Probably once a week somebody says, "Oh, I heard you on the radio."
Yeah?
Yeah, I've been doing that for a while.
Well, that's
so.
you're like me. You can't live without it. I know how it is.
Well, I appreciate you having me.
Yeah,
on.
man, good to see you. Don't be a stranger. Come knock on the door anytime. We're
Okay.
right here.
I'll do it.
And again, if you're superior, I know 2 of the people that you work with, and if I need to write a note,
Okay.
I've known them my whole life. So
I appreciate it.
I'll do what I can. He's Grayson Grinder. What is it? G Grinder 21, right? On Twitter.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Okay, that sounds right. If not, Elijah will tell you what it is. Check him out. Good stuff. Appreciate you, man. All right, lots more to do on the Postgame Show. Guys, when you're feeling a little bit off, time for you to go see Dr. Dan Balknight and his team at the men's clinic. Listen, these are experts in healthcare for men, and there could be a host of things that just aren't right with you these days, all right? And if it's starting to affect you, then you need to do something about it because the odds are very much against you in terms of it just going away. And don't be embarrassed. Don't ever say, well, my granddad and my dad never went to the doctor. Don't be that guy, all right? Do it for yourself. Do it for your family. Set up a consultation. Call 803-875-MENS. It could be in your love life. It could be in your work life. It could be in your workout. It could be in your yard work. It could be all those things and more. Whatever it is, you can get to the bottom of it with the great team at the men's clinic. Experts in healthcare for men. Been doing this for years and years. They're dedicated to making you feel like yourself again. 803-875-MENS, the men's clinic. 11 minutes in front of 5 o'clock here on a Wednesday afternoon. Welcome back into the Postgame Show. Jay and Elijah with you. Thanks very much once again to Grayson Griner for hanging out with us here for about a half hour, talking some Carolina baseball and state of affairs. He's not wrong. Winning cures all, but what do you go do about that? How do you drum up that recruiting interest when the environment you're selling isn't where it needs to be, where you want it to be? These are some of the tough questions that we've said Jeremiah Donati and Paul Maneri are going to have to answer here in the coming weeks, because you're going to have to get started right away. In some senses, Elijah, the work for next year is already begun. Mm-hmm. You know, at least in terms of the identification process. You're not out there literally calling people in the transfer portal yet.
But you're monitoring who might be out there.
And who, you know, might be available, and what if this kid was, or what the profile is. And you know, is it as easy as we need a bunch of flamethrowers and we need a bunch of sluggers? You know, as Grayson said, the flamethrowing part, yeah, that's probably a bigger need. The slugging part, as he talked about, a lot of it's situational. And I think you and I have talked about that a bunch. How many men early, especially, you know, leaving guys on base, like you're getting them on, you got to bring them around.
No, I mean, you're fourth in the SEC in on-base percentage.
Yeah.
You're fourth.
Yeah, you're getting them on base.
But you're 15th in runs.
Right. Yeah.
Like that's going to cost you too, especially when you compound that with what the bullpen's been this year, and with the math that we did that, you know, with your ERA being over 9.5 in the final 3 innings of SEC games, you're essentially giving up a run an inning. So in order to be able to withstand or be able to keep your lead, you have to have at least a 4-run lead. If you're not going to score any more runs, have a 4-run lead going into the 7th inning in each game.
Right.
And that's not sustainable. You can't ask to have a 4-run lead going into the final 3 innings of every game. So you have 2 massive problems of not being able to bring guys home and not being able to hold leads or be able to keep a game within striking distance whenever you have to dig into your bullpen. I mean, you got to obviously you have to solve both of them, because both can be completely damaging to what the rest of your season is.
And we talked about it too, just to stay with the numbers. And obviously South Carolina has won 5 of their games, but the average score of the 24 South Carolina conference games is opponent 9, Gamecocks 5. It's just you know that's the average score of every game you play. You lose 9-5. You've got again bringing them around, situational hitting, you know, and those kind of things too. So we'll see. But appreciate Grayson's time, and good luck to his Tigers.
Dude, they're playing well right now.
Yeah,
they're playing best record in the American League. Javi Baez is hitting 300 after he was an absolute no-show ever since he's really come to Detroit. They needed that.
I threw out a fun little exercise earlier today. As I just see a Bill Gunner tweet against me and Arsenal. Thanks, Bill.
Yeah, not so good for the Gunners.
They scored, but they're still losing.
I thought about this the other day when we were talking about things that can possibly be held at Williams-Brice Stadium, and you really wanted Arsenal to come here, and I thought about it. Still do. I thought about it. The last time a group from Great Britain brought an arsenal of Gunners to South Carolina, I don't think it went very well for them.
It's fair. That's fair.
Don't know if Francis Marion will be in attendance or not.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think a lot of the War of 1812 was fought here, was it?
No.
Yeah, I don't think so. Most of that was a little bit farther north, or either that Battle of New Orleans. But, no, you're probably right. But it's been a long time, man.
I mean, you had a couple hundred years to
prepare. It's been a long time. But what I was going to say is, before I happen to go through here, I saw this morning the brand new logo for the Utah NHL team, which is no longer the Utah Hockey Club. They will next season be known as the Utah Mammoth. Not Mammoths, but Mammoth. And they said that the singular represented more of the vibe they were going for than to have the plural. So the plural of mammoth is mammoths, but they just wanted mammoth. But the logo was cool, and they incorporated some fun stuff into it, and it just made me think, not that I as immediately jumped in as like my favorite logo, but you know, taking your own team, your own favorite teams out of the equation, because that'd be too easy.
Yes.
Like, what's the coolest logo? And I didn't do a poll or anything. I just wanted people to hit me up or say something. I got several Miami Dolphins.
I don't like the new Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, and they were all
ones.
saying that. The old school Miami
with the
Dolphins.
sun in the background.
And
the
that
dolphin
fun
with the
little helmet. The fun little helmet.
Love it. Love
it.
it.
Yeah. The old one was better. Got a really good one from a guy named Chad for your Cincinnati Reds with both like Mr. Red without the mustache and then like the old school 1800s mustache. So he sent both.
Yes.
That's fair.
Got to go with the mustache.
Ryan had a good one. He said Olympic rings. All right, that's
Okay.
that's a
I
cool
like
logo.
that. Outside the box, I like
and
it.
The Red Wings. So that
Red Wings have a pretty cool one.
Lauren hit us with the Yankee logo, just classic. I get it. Yeah. She also threw in the Bulls.
The Bulls one goes pretty hard.
Our buddy Josh Ward from the Sports Animal in Knoxville hit me with one of the greats of all time, the old Hartford Whaler logo.
Oh my God, great color scheme too.
Yeah.
The color scheme helps that one a lot.
That's a good one. So I got a few more, but y'all hit me up at jphillips1075. Just some fun in honor of the newest logo in sports in the United States. Top of the hour headlines coming up.
From the Wetzel's Automotive Traffic Studios, I'm Elijah Campbell with many accidents to get to you. They're causing some issues on the roadways, starting with one on Blythewood Road near I-77, Clemson Road at Rame Road in North Springs, Hard Scrabble Road between Charleston Estate Lane and Clemson Road, Highway 602 at Old Orangeburg Road. A disabled vehicle is causing traffic backup on 26 eastbound at Augusta Road near exit 111. We have accidents on 77 northbound, 2 of them, one at South Carolina 277 near exit 18, the other at US 21 near exit 24. We also have accidents on North Springs Road at Risdon Way, Parkland Road at Highway 555 at Farrow Road, and Reimer Pond Road at Wilson Boulevard.
It is 5 o'clock news time here on this Wednesday, final hour of the postgame show as well, along with Elijah Campbell. I'm Jay Phillips. Lots of Gamecock news to get to. We'll start with Carolina softball, the number 14 team in the country, getting their SEC tournament play underway tonight against Alabama. That'll be taking place over in Athens. Carolina beat the Tide 2 out of 3 last week, although they were humbled in one of those defeats. But, hey, who cares? You came back and won the other 2. That game will be tonight around 8 o'clock. South Carolina basketball made it official today. We heard this earlier that was going to happen, but now the school and the event itself have made it official. The Gamecocks will be taking part in the Greenbrier Tip-Off November 21st and 23rd up at the Greenbrier Resort in West Virginia. The other teams will be Butler, Northwestern, and Virginia. They make up what's called the Mountain Division of this particular event. There are 4 other schools that will be playing that Carolina won't see. Let's put it that way. Matchups will be announced at a later date. Each team will play 2 games. So, again, November 21 and 23. And it's a nice place, the Greenbrier.
Never been.
It's nice. You should get credentialed and make the company pay for it.
Would be nice.
It'd be real nice, I promise you.
That would be fun. I would love that.
It's nice.
I've always wanted to cover one of these early season tournaments too, or the MTEs as they call them, the multi-team events.
Yeah. This is a more unique one. And again, the Greenbrier.
Nice venue.
Thank me later.
Solid teams there.
Thank me later. That's all I'm gonna tell you. Butler, Northwestern, and Virginia, as I said. South Carolina tailback Rasul Faison has taken the next step in the process to get him another year of eligibility. And I, again, not supposed to do this all the time, but I applaud this move. He has hired one of the finest NIL attorneys in the country, Darren Heitner, from down in the Miami area. Heitner has said in a brief statement released earlier via Twitter, Rasul Faison submitted his waiver request to the NCAA. I will be urging the NCAA to prioritize providing a decision on his request for an additional year of eligibility. Again, Diego Pavia got one of these, y'all, for basically the same type of ask within days because he threatened a lawsuit. Mm-hmm. And there's a young man at Rutgers. Again, I forget the name. I apologize. He, too, threatened a lawsuit. Got his waiver. Carolina, and I applaud you wanting to give them the opportunity in Indianapolis to do right by you.
To get their stuff together,
but
do their jobs.
South Carolina submitted Rasul's paperwork at the beginning of the semester. The NCAA asked for a little bit of additional information, which South Carolina provided also in January, just after the beginning of the semester. The semester is over, and they still haven't heard a decision from the NCAA. There's no the NCAA can't give us a good reason, Elijah. They will give us a reason at some point. We will then look at it as some sort of excuse to draw the line between those words a lot of times, right? A reason or excuse. And sometimes there's a Venn diagram there that's, a full circle. But in this case, tell me what is, especially in this realm, how many people are really asking? I'm sure Rasul's not alone. But what are we talking about here? I mean, can you not handle a couple of cases a day?
Right. And
I mean, seriously.
I know there's going to be a lot, but there's not going to be that much to where you don't have time in 5 months.
Right. Like, what
rule on it.
What aren't you getting? What isn't there for you? As we said, right? Carolina's not lying about where he went to school. And if you think they are, not to say that's what they think, but if you think they are, call the other schools.
It's a pretty easy verification process.
And you know what? Here's the interesting point on that. And yes, I'm being a smart aleck now. The other schools that he went to are members of your organization.
So you have their contact.
Yes. It isn't like he went to school in France, or like Georgia, the country.
The Republic of Georgia.
Yes. He went to school in West Virginia and Utah. I mean, come on, man.
This isn't difficult.
But now he's hired Darren Heitner. You watch. But this time next week, I bet you this thing's done.
Ooh, I like that. It's spicy. This time next week. Well, I mean, maybe
I
that's
hope
what
so.
That's what it takes for them to be able to.
They got everything they need. Just say yes or no. Just tell them. But why, again, what is the holdup? Is it just a logjam of paperwork? Then if it is, do something about it. Hire more people. Move people into that department. I don't know. Hire an intern. Something. And you're in a big city. Just get some part-timer. I don't know, man.
You're in a big city with a big organization.
Yeah.
With money you can spend.
I mean, Indianapolis is like Charlotte. It's a big city. Get some people. It's probably bigger than Charlotte. I don't know. I don't care. It's about like Charlotte. It's like $2 million and something.
But to not have this done in 5 months.
This is a load of barnacles.
Yes, it is indeed. But anyway, there you go. Sorry, I didn't mean to get all going in the news segment. I'm not supposed to do that, but I'm not really a news guy.
I mean, there are rules that we put in place for ourselves. We can break them.
Yeah, I tell you, what are they going to do? But there you go. Good luck, Rasul. You deserve it, and you've hired a good one. So I'm glad they're going to do this. The Atlantic Coast Conference. Look, I get what they're getting ready to do, but I don't think I like this. And I told y'all this a couple of weeks ago. But the ACC has now voted and decided to trim 2 games from their basketball schedules next season. This is from the Associated Press. It says the change for this fall comes after Commissioner Jim Phillips, no relation, has been vocal about spending the past 2 seasons examining the ACC's getting fewer bids, down to 4 this year, their lowest in 12 years. That's crazy. That's kind of like, ugh. The ACC should not be getting 4 teams in.
That's what happens when you invite bad teams into your conference.
Yeah,
you drag everybody else down.
But you still got good. And North Carolina they had a play-in game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They should be a lot better than what they are. North Carolina being 23-14 last year is inexcusable with the roster they had.
I've said before, I don't want Clemson fans to take this the wrong way, but Clemson fans, y'all get it, because if you've been a Clemson fan for a long time, then you get what I'm getting ready to say. But if the second best team in the conference is Clemson, then you're probably not doing it right, ACC.
Well, I mean, you only had 3 teams in the conference that were in that field of 64.
Yeah.
Only 3.
Yeah. And again, your premier program, well, one of the 2, I mean, Duke, I can't ever say Duke has necessarily surpassed North Carolina in terms of national recognition, but certainly in terms of, I guess, recent success.
And recent relevance, even.
Yeah.
I mean, I know North Carolina just last year was, in the Sweet 16?
When's North Carolina's last title? Like 17?
That was 17.
When Carolina, when the Gamecocks went?
Yep.
North Carolina won?
And they beat Gonzaga in the final.
And then Duke's last title
was 15.
Okay. But still. And again, I'm not slamming you, Clemson. I like what Brad's doing. Glad you gave him a contract. That's fine.
Had a fantastic year.
But, NC State went to the Final Four last year. Miami has been good. Florida State has been good. Wake Forest is in your conference. I know Louisville did go, but Louisville should be better. Syracuse is in your conference. Georgia Tech is in your conference. I mean, you got to be. There's
Syracuse is a lost.
Virginia won a national title 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what are we doing here? This should be at the size of this league now, it should be a 10-bid league.
Virginia and Syracuse specifically should not fall off that type of cliff.
No. But they're going to go to 18 games in an effort to encourage their member schools to schedule bigger non-conference games, basically admitting these extra 2 conference games do not help our RPI. So
Telling on themselves a little bit.
Yeah, a lot. You said that a couple of weeks ago. I think
our conference isn't any good. We want us to play less of each other.
And look, 18 or 20, I don't know. I like more conference games. I've made that abundantly clear
Especially
in pretty much
in a
every
league
sport.
with 18 teams.
Yeah, I mean, you need to see each other. That's why you're in a league. But if you go out and schedule, I'm not going to say names because I don't want to pick on anybody, but if you schedule directional tech and, as Terry likes to say, the barber college, then you're really not helping yourself. But if you go out and you can convince a Kansas or an Iowa State out of the
Duke
Big 12.
is seemingly willing to do this every year.
Yeah, or get, more SEC, get a Tennessee or an Auburn to play you, then okay, right?
That's the big if.
Yeah.
That's the massive if. Because if you're even a school at Cal, who are you going to get in the middle of a conference slate to play you? And if you're Cal, are you interested in playing some team from the Big Ten and losing by 30?
Not necessarily. But, I mean, could California play San Diego State?
Then they would have to actually do that. That's the one thing about schools like San Diego State, and it used to be Gonzaga for a while, but now teams aren't afraid to play them.
I mean, even playing St. Mary's. St. Mary's is in California.
Yeah. I mean,
and I know San Francisco's in California, and that's a pretty good program.
If there's anything I know about a lot of Power 4 programs, a lot of them are absolutely terrified to play those schools.
Yeah.
They say, oh, it doesn't help us if we win. Well, if you're Cal, it would absolutely help you.
If you're a Cal and you play St. Mary's, it helps you. But I don't want to discount that logic either, because I've told you before for certain situations, and again, I won't name names, but there's a lot of schools, if you schedule them and you beat them, well, you were supposed to. If you're Big State U, okay, good. Yay, you beat the team you're supposed to beat. And if you lose, what the hell just happened? You're not supposed to lose that game.
My hypothesis is that we might get like 6 of these schools in this league to actually schedule somebody that's going to help the conference's net.
Yeah.
And I think the others will play someone they think they can win against or beat.
Speaking of basketball, and we'll keep you updated on that. But again, now I want to see the scheduling. That's the thing. I want to see who you go get.
Like, if you're going to make this change to do this, then you better
make
actually do it. You better increase your non-conference strength of schedule.
Yeah, make it work. More road wins in the association last night. Pacers edged the Cavs. They got 2-0 lead. And the Dubs went to the Twin Cities and beat the T-Wolves 99-88. By the way, the Pacers over the Cavs 120-119.
Thrilling basketball.
The good news for the Warriors, they shift home court advantage back to San Francisco. The bad news is that Steph Curry is out at least a week. He will not play Game 2, the team has said, and is currently listed already as doubtful for Games 3 and 4 in San Francisco. But, again, a small price to pay if he's not too hurt to get home court advantage back, again, even if you lose Game 2. But as you pointed out, their defense has been outstanding, and if they find a way to steal one again, then, hey, all bets are off. Tonight in the NBA, if I can get the computer to cooperate with me, we've got the Knickerbockers at the Celtics. They try to take a 2-0 lead to the Knicks after stealing one on the road. And the Denver Nuggets are in Oklahoma City. Again, they also, everybody in this series, in this round, rather, has won on the road.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's nuts. I think that ends tonight, though.
Probably so.
I have a feeling the Celtics take a sledgehammer.
Well, and again, like you said about the Celtics took 100 3-pointers and they made one.
And a lot of those were open.
Yeah.
They just missed shots.
If you missed 99 shots, you're probably going to – it wasn't really 99, but it was
45 if we want to be exact.
It was a dreadful shooting percentage from three, which means being reliant upon the three a little too often is bad for you. But Celtics, just make if they made four more of those shots, they win.
Then it doesn't matter. Yeah, they win.
Yeah.
The game doesn't even go to overtime.
But Denver might win tonight.
I would not be surprised.
Yeah,
if
Denver might win tonight.
I think Oklahoma City, as great as this team has been, I mean, you win 68 games in a regular season in the NBA. That's pretty remarkable. That's an amazing feat in itself. But like the NBA is that like one sport where you kind of have to get punked in the playoffs a couple of years before your core is able to learn what it takes to win in that setting. This Denver team's done it. Aaron Gordon's playing really well. Jamal Murray, every 3 games, scores 40 points in the playoffs. Maybe it happens.
I think it does.
Maybe it happens. I could see it.
Braves beat the Reds last night in 10 innings, 2-1 the final. They go at it again tonight in Atlanta. Grant Holmes for Atlanta. Hunter Green will start for Cincinnati. And the Champions League final is set as Paris today beat Arsenal 2-1. They advance 3-1. They will take on Inter Milan at the end of the month. To Arsenal fans everywhere, next year can't get here soon enough.
I saw the life leave Jay Phillips' eyes on that last goal.
It was not fun. We got some more Gamecock news to get to, including some interesting quotes from Paul Maneri. Be right back. Welcome back in. Postgame show rolling on this Wednesday. Jay and Elijah with you. If you missed our extended time with Grayson Griner, that's on the YouTube page. It was fun to talk to Grayson. He's been doing some analytical work on Gamecock television broadcasts and gave us some insights on what isn't happening. That was one of the things I asked about pitching. From a catcher's perspective, I asked him what isn't happening. Go check out what he said. Check out the YouTube page and see if you agree. We got into some other things, too. And, again, congrats to the whole Griner family with the newest addition to the family. Now they got a little girl.
A little one.
To go along with the two boys. I told him the story I said about by the time we had our fourth girl, I was like, just be a girl, man, because boys are wild. They are. I said, I really... Since I don't have a boy, but I remember me, and my wife and I, like, we taught Sunday school for a few years, and, you know, the girls, like from when they were little, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the little kid Sunday school. And, like, the girls are over at their little table, and they have their little scissors, you know, and they're doing the day's activity, and they're all doing it, and they're cutting the little thing out or whatever, and using the crayons the right way, and the boys are
doing anything but.
Yeah, you know, like taking the scissors and trying to, you know, cut holes in their jackets and leap around the room with them. And I just thought back then, too, I was like, you know, God bless the parents of little boys. I you know, like, and I felt then, like, to my mom, you know, I'm sorry. I didn't realize. But I think then it made me think of some of the just stupid stuff I used to do as a little boy. You know, but anyway, now he's got a girl to temper, and eventually that girl can just yell at her older brothers and be like, "Why are y'all being so stupid?"
She can run the house. Yeah.
So there's that. But you know, but at the same time, like I like me. I just realized I was a maniac. Yeah. That's all. Most of us are little boys are
really good at finding ways to get themselves in trouble.
We're maniacs.
Unique ways. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, you don't know that when you're the maniac.
Well, no one ever does. No. Because you're not self-aware at that age.
No. I mean, I can think of one tree that we used to climb. And how I didn't fall out, I don't know. But it was, I saw it recently. And I was like, look how tall that is. And I know it's been a while, but, like, this thing was still really tall, I promise you. It isn't like it was, you know, some tiny little thing, and then 40 years later it's big. Like, it's a really old tree. I was like, how was I allowed to climb that? Or, you know, or my mother probably said, don't climb that. What's going to happen?
What does she know?
Yeah. Just as one example. All right, let's get into a little bit more on Carolina baseball. Cut number 7, please, sir. Again, to come back around and be as serious as we can be about things.
As we can.
Yeah. You know, you and Grayson touched on this a little bit too. It's hard to recruit when you have a moderately empty ballpark, if you will, and the team isn't doing well. Paul Maneri, before the team left for Auburn, was asked about trying to recruit in this environment.
So you're talking about kids want to go play for a winning program. Sure. They have to believe in you. They have to believe in the message you're giving them, and they have to believe in your vision for the program. They have to believe in the role that they can play in that. You know, if you're a young man and you're looking for a school, you could choose to go to a school that's already, you know, a top 5 team in the country, or you can go to a place where your legacy can be that you were part of the turnaround. How did I recruit the kids to LSU when we were having that rough first year? You know, I sold DJ LeMahieu and Anthony Renato and all these kids on what their role will be in the turning this program into the right direction and getting it on track again. You know, so, you know, some kids may not be interested, but others would like the challenge and like to create their own legacy. So every kid makes their decision for their own reasons. What motivates one may not motivate the other. So you got to find the right ones.
Yeah, look, everything he says in there, I think people can get behind. On that note, before we say anything further and have some other thoughts, he was asked just about how recruiting is going overall.
Actually, it's been going great. You know, somebody plants seeds out there, you know, that, the coach is going to resign, he's too old, and, you know, his status is, you know, and all that does is hurt recruiting, those kinds of things, you know, because that's what, and it's those probably rumors are planted by the coaches at other schools in our league to try to give themselves an advantage. You know, people are looking around saying, why are they, you know, I can't tell you who they all are. But, you know, we've had not only great commitments for next year, but the 26th high school graduating class. We got an unbelievable class we're putting together. And people are, you know, and we're beating the top schools in the SEC for those kids. And they're probably all like, you know, well, we didn't think South Carolina could beat us on these recruits. So we've got to somehow discredit South Carolina. You know, oh, the coach isn't going to be there. The coach is going to resign. They're going to fire him and all this stuff. You know, if there's going to be a change, it's news to me. I'll tell you that. I didn't come here for just being here for 1 year.
Yeah, Carolina fans hope that they are serious, you know, about that and what they hear. And you just, that's all you can do at this point. Because again, without a miracle run here in a couple of weeks, you're looking at a really hard sell.
Mm-hmm.
Doable, sure.
Well, a season like this makes opposing coaches' negative recruitment of you a little easier.
And there's a lot of turnaround stories in this conference of late. I mean, you know,
playing one this weekend.
Yeah, Auburn this weekend. Georgia under Wes Johnson, you know, just turned it around in a couple of seasons. Tony Vitello took a rather down Tennessee program and made it something. Kentucky is never really much of anything. Nick Mingione has done a fantastic job and has gotten them to Omaha now. So, sure, it can be done. And this is South Carolina. You know, you do have resources and you do have passion. But it's just, you just worry about how long it can stay in a, quote, down cycle before that's who you are. You know, with new portal rules and changing rosters or not, you know. So there's a lot of work to be done. Real quick, one more from Coach Maneri. How's Ethan Petrie? Coach Pitt Maneri answering that question yesterday.
Well, they're treating it every day. The trainers are doing what they're supposed to be doing. They know a lot more about those things than I do. So any information I would give you about that would not be expert evaluation. So I just trust Corey that he's doing whatever he can do to help him. I know the kid desperately wants to get back and play. He's such a great kid. I mean, I'm brokenhearted about the injury. It was such a fluke injury. I don't know if you saw the video of it or not, but I couldn't see it happen live because I was blocked off, you know, being in the first base dugout, the way it jetted out. But when I watched the replay, it was such a fluky thing, you know, the way the ball was bouncing on that turf and the spin. And I think he thought the ball was going to get past him. So he actually had slowed up, and then he accelerated to try to field the ball and banged his left shoulder into the wall. Like, sometimes you feel like if you didn't have bad luck, you wouldn't have any luck at all, you know? Sometimes just those things happen, and can't understand why, but they do, and I just feel bad for the kid. You know, he's had such a great career here, and you hate to see it end with him not being able to play. So I know he's trying to get back, but I don't think there's any chance he'll play this weekend.
I think without saying it, Elijah, he took your line there, the Murphy's Law team of 2025.
Yep. They've ran away with that award for a very long time. I think Dylan Eskew's injury against Arkansas probably put them out in front, and I don't think they've relinquished that all year long.
It's a fair point. Good stuff from Coach. We'll have a drive around the SEC on the other side, last night's baseball results, and an interesting Q&A with Shane Beamer about the transfer portal in terms of the Gamecocks. That's part of the drive around. Coming up.
From the Wetzel's Automotive Traffic Studios, I'm Elijah Campbell with many accidents to get to you. They're causing some issues on the roadways this afternoon, starting with one on Atlas Road at US 76 and US 378 near Garner's Ferry Road, Clemson Road at Rain Road in North Springs, Hard Scrabble Road between Charleston Estate Lane and Clemson Road, one on I-77 northbound at US 21 near Exit 24, one on Leesburg Road at McCord's Ferry Road, Mineral Springs Road near Oak Drive, Parkland Road at Highway 555 at Farrow Road, and lastly, one on Shop Road near Abbott Road.
It is Drive Around the SEC time here on a Wednesday afternoon. Jay Phillips, Elijah Campbell with you. Real quick before I get into scores from last night and the SEC softball tournament, which is going on over in Athens, GA, our very good friend Brad Muller hit us. We were talking about Grayson Griner having a new baby girl. He's got 2 boys that are older. And, you know, all of us that are boys admit, basically, we should anyway, that we probably terrorized our mothers more than we should have as small children. Right? I mean, we just should admit that without,
Yes.
you know, and sometimes even probably as older children. Elijah Campbell.
Yeah. I still think about the incident where I accidentally busted my stepdad's windshield of his BMW, his new BMW. And upon telling him, my mom kind of stepped in and said, "Hey, you can go to your room. I'll talk to Rick." And she, I could hear her say, "Well, welcome to the world of having a teenage boy in the house. You signed up for this."
But again, the great Brad Muller says one of the great things about having a little boy is you get to play with Star Wars Legos. It's fantastic. It's too bad my son is a teenager now, and we put all the toys away. Yeah, we had Legos, and we had a few that were like Disney themed.
Did you ever step on them barefoot?
I have.
Not a fun feeling.
No, it's not, man, because Legos are well built.
And the Lego wins.
Yes, it does.
Your foot does not.
Yeah, if you get the crappy kind, they just snap. The Legos don't break. I don't think Shaq could step on a Lego and break it.
No.
I really don't. That's how well constructed Lego is. One of the things I would try to get my girls to get into, and they did for a little bit, was remember Lincoln Logs? Do you have Lincoln Logs?
Lincoln Logs, yeah.
I enjoyed Lincoln Logs, but they'd lose interest in that and just want to do something else. So I would play with the Lincoln Logs. And Brad, here's the thing, man. Just because your son is a teenager does not mean you can't play with Star Wars Legos.
Because you probably bought them.
Yeah.
So technically, they're as much yours as they are his.
Well, it's not even about his anymore. I mean, okay, he doesn't want to play with them. Do you?
That's the question.
Have at it, my man.
Go for it.
I'm not going to judge you.
If anything, I'd be really impressed if you rebuilt
Yeah.
what you built prior.
Do it. So there you go. Thank you, Brad.
Go for it.
Appreciate you listening. SEC softball tournament. Brad knows a lot about that, too. Last night, Georgia beat Kentucky 8-0. They advanced to today. I'll tell you about the result in a minute. Yeah, they lost, actually. Arkansas wins 5-1 today. Last night, Ole Miss over Missouri 1-0, and Alabama beat Auburn 3-2. Earlier today, LSU has advanced to the quarterfinal. They beat Mississippi State 5-0. Again, just finishing up. Arkansas beat Georgia, the host. Let's see, just getting started here soon. Ole Miss and Florida, and then tonight, Alabama, who won last night, will play South Carolina.
So weird seeing Alabama softball be a 10 seed in the SEC tournament.
Yeah, and Carolina took 2 of 3 from Bama just a few days ago, and they will see them right away. So there you go. That's the softball tournament. Baseball last night. We had a couple of good games here. Tennessee mean to Indiana State, 12-1. Run rule. USF beat Florida. Florida came here and swept, and then was like, eh.
There's a school in South Florida?
Yeah, well, it's really central. It's West Central Florida, but they call it South Florida. Don't ask me why.
It's in Tampa.
It is. It's not even close to South Florida.
There's a lot more real estate south of Florida than where USF is.
There's a lot more Florida to go. Yes. But in relation to North Florida, which is in Jacksonville, then yes, it's south of there. But yeah, USF should be UCFW or UCWF, University of Central West Florida.
Or UKSF, University of Kinda South Florida.
And kinda.
Southish.
Southish. Kansas edges Missouri 6-5. Louisville edges Vanderbilt 5-4.
Edges.
Alabama over Troy 10-2. Texas beats Lamar 9-3. Rained out last night. A&M at Houston, Grambling at LSU. And speaking of baseball, Coach Wes Johnson of the Georgia Bulldogs, doing an interview this week, has stated he is not interested in the vacant Mississippi State job. Pete Nakos of On3 Sports put out a report the other day that Wes Johnson was one of the names on the list. There's a couple others that were all head coaches, but Wes was maybe the most prominent. And he has said today, no, I'm not doing that.
And you know what? I'm sure he's not the only Wes Johnson who is going to turn down the Mississippi State job. I don't think former Syracuse great and Los Angeles Laker forward Wes Johnson wants the job either.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if he's in the running or not. I don't know, but we'll see how that one turns out.
He was an NBA player.
I think Brian O'Connor was on the list. I don't have it written down anymore because honestly, I just
I think State's going to try to go big game hunting when it comes to
I have a brand new pad here, so I can't remember the others. But they were all head coaches. So State's going to shoot big and probably end up paying somebody.
They should.
Yeah, they're probably going to pay somebody $2 million a year ish.
The appetite for a big splash there.
That's what it takes these days, man. You know, maybe not two, but I would imagine it approaches $2 million. If that's what you want, that's what it takes.
I think maybe worst case scenario for them is maybe trying to get an Elander from Tennessee or somebody who was a prominent assistant on one of those staffs.
That'll save you some money that you could maybe apply toward.
That still has some potential
roster construction. Speaking of which, one more cut here. Going back to Shane Beamer in the Aiken Welcome Home event last night. Cut number 13. Elijah Campbell. Gamecocks did well in the portal, developing well, recruiting well, but didn't have great rankings necessarily. Around a top 25 recruiting class when it came to the portal. Shane was asked if last year's success in the portal maybe eases any of the concerns he might have over this year's.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, there's some people that we brought in that, Rocket Sanders, when he came in, was 240-plus pounds and wasn't, in a lot of people's minds outside our program, wasn't trending upwards, if that makes sense. D. Knight had been at two schools, like you're saying. Kyle Kennard, coming from Georgia Tech, had a solid season, but they all excelled in their year at South Carolina. So we have great confidence in our development and how we're able to pour into guys when they get to our place. And we say to ourselves, you know what? He's maybe the program that he's been at, they haven't been able to do for him what we can do for him with the people in our building, the culture, whatever you want to call it. And that's certainly something that we have a lot of confidence in. And you look at guys, there's guys at the linebacker position. Sean Murphy comes to mind. I mean, Sean's a guy that was a highly touted guy coming out of high school he is extremely talented. For whatever reason, it just hasn't happened the way he wanted it to at Alabama and Florida State. And we tell those portal guys there's a track record of success at our place where guys have come in, whether it be for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and they've played their best football their last season. So we have a lot of confidence in that. We're willing, I don't want to say take a chance on a guy, but Clowney, who we brought in, or George Wilson, the defensive end that we brought in from the portal. Those are guys that they've had a different journey to get to where they are right now, but we have a lot of confidence that in their time with us that they're going to play their best football.
we've talked about this a few times. I would think if I'm a portal recruit coming here, I can look and see, yep, they're getting it done. They're developing. They've got something that I want to be a part of. Would you like to go get every? I mean, we kind of talked about it too, and I don't know how it is in football, but like the basketball portal. Remember we were talking about point guards? It felt like all of them were 4-star. I'm like, well, wait a minute, are they really?
24/7 was very generous.
If everybody's a 4-star, then 4-point what star, right? Like where am I? How am I doing that? But I think he lists those names there of guys that were hungry to prove. And they feel the same way as a staff. I think that's a nice little mix. Again, now time,
especially at spots where they're craving competition.
Yeah, time will tell what happens next. Try to get us an update on our lottery winner from the other day. I don't know if I have one yet. I'm working on that, but I think we do. And somebody else that's still in the news, and I was like, that dude's still around? Yeah, we'll explain both when the postgame show returns. AAA Heating and Air, the best at what they do across the Midlands. How do I know? Because they've been keeping my family nice and comfortable for many, many years. And in fact, after 18 years of venerable service, our upstairs AC unit kind of capitulated the other day. We fixed it a couple times. Roy Finley and the AAA crew came out. Now we decided time for a new one. Guess what just got installed hours ago? Literally today. Brand new system. So my daughters don't have to worry about the summer heat. You won't either. And well, listen, we get the same exact great service that any of you do. All you got to do is call 803-677-1500. Get one of the techs to come out, take a look. If there's something wrong, they'll let you know. Time for something new. 15-year guarantee when it comes to everything, parts and labor. All right? Guaranteed financing. No interest or payments for a full year. And a $1,500 system buyback rebate. 803-677-1500. AAA Heating and Air. Welcome back in. Postgame show concluding here. Thanks again to Grayson Griner for joining us earlier, talking a lot of Gamecock baseball, a few things around the big leagues, too. Again, check that out on our YouTube page. Back at it tomorrow with a lot more. Gamecocks open their 3-game set at Auburn tomorrow. We'll get into a few basketball thoughts we just didn't have a chance to get to today. And I know Elijah has another, I guess it's not Jay or Nay coming up, but it's close.
I mean, it's this one, a baseball version, but it's actually more of a quiz.
Okay.
The others are more of your opinion.
I could do poorly.
You can fail it.
Oh.
Yes. I will name.
I need you to pump me up, man. I'm not. My favorite soccer team has been eliminated from the biggest competition on the planet, other than the World Cup. This is the biggest professional competition on the planet.
Well, this is me pumping you by telling you what the test is before you get the test.
All right.
And I'm just going to name a baseball player.
Right.
And you're going to tell me if they are a Colorado Rocky or a Miami Marlin.
Dante Bichette, Todd Helton.
Well, they ain't walking through that door.
Levon Hernandez.
Gary Sheffield.
Kevin Brown.
For a year.
Dude, Gary Sheffield. Just name one of the 30 teams in Major League Baseball.
Gary Sheffield.
Gary Sheffield.
All-time great mercenary.
Yeah.
Also, maybe one of the hardest hitters to ever play the game.
When he hit a baseball.
I feel bad for all baseballs.
Yeah, when he hit a baseball, it sounded different. It did. It sounded different.
It sounded violent.
We should look at it. How many teams? What do you think? Over, under?
Let's set the over under at 7.5.
Okay, I was going to say 8.5, but okay. I'm going to go. I'm going to go over 7.5.
All right. So
while I do that, I want you all to get your checkbooks ready. And if some of you don't like what I'm getting ready to do, did you know Jim Baker was still around? Like
who?
Yeah.
Who?
The Jim Baker. Like the dude who in the 80s, had all his things going up there in Charlotte, Rock Hill, Fort Mill, built his big theme park, was on TV all the time, had the wife who wore too much makeup. He still has a show. I don't know if it's on television, I don't know if it's on YouTube. I had no idea. Like, I'm dead serious. I had no idea. When I guess a tweet went viral. And he said, if I don't get $1 million, I'm out on the street. $1 million, bro.
Not asking for much here.
He said,
just $1 million. I'm also asking for $1 million.
Yeah, me too. Right now. By the all of y'all right now, please I need 1,000 of y'all to send me $1,000.
That's it.
That's all I'm asking.
Just one small, simple donation.
That's not much. I need 1,000 of you listening right now to send me $1,000. Care of Elijah Campbell, 107.5 The Game, downtown Columbia. Just put that on the envelope.
That's it. That's all.
We'll get it.
Yeah.
Across from State House. That's all I need. But that's all I'm asking is 1,000 of you to send me $1,000. That's what Jim Baker apparently did. I'm like, I didn't even know he was still doing anything. And I also read about him. Again, I'm glad I didn't see this at the time. Apparently during COVID, he was selling some kind of COVID cure.
A miracle COVID cure.
Yeah. Who? Right.
Who?
But you know what is a miracle cure? It's knowing that Gary Sheffield played for 8 different major league teams.
Nailed the
Look
over.
at that.
But if it had been 8.5, I might have still taken the over. And then I would have lost.
Correct. But you did take the over on 7.
But we were both in the. That's good for both of us.
Yeah,
7.5, 8.5.
Like right off the
think
dome.
about that. If we were the bookmaker, we could have had to. That's what books do. Like, watch this.
They try to get even action.
Caesars gives you 7.5, and MGM gives you 8.5.
Now, can you guess which team he played for the longest?
Milwaukee?
No.
Dodgers?
Milwaukee tied for second. Dodgers tied for second.
Ooh.
Both with 4 years.
Well, it wasn't Atlanta.
He played in the majors for 23 years, and he was only in Atlanta for 2. His longest stop was 6 years.
San Diego?
Nope, not even. San Diego's only 2.
God. I don't know who.
That'd be the Marlins.
Oh, wow.
Would not have guessed.
How many times did he play for the Marlins?
Just once.
Okay, so just one string of time then?
Got traded at the deadline in 93.
Yeah.
Traded at the deadline again in 98.
Okay. Marlins. The young Marlins.
Mm-hmm.
Literally.
World Series champion Marlins.
Yeah, but I mean, they started in 90. 92, 93, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Right around there. But anyway, Jim Baker.
Yeah, that was their first year. He was, first trade deadline acquisition.
Jim Baker is still around. I had no idea. The stuff he was selling was called Silver Solution during COVID.
That's not something I think I want to consume.
That sounds like, well, never mind. Didn't know Jim Baker was around. But again, I am urging all of you right now, please, to send 1,000 of you to send me $1,000.
It's really not much, and if you're not doing so.
And I don't mean 1,000 of you to send me $1,000 combined.
No,
that's
individually.
That's each. And by the way, our boy James Farthing, the lottery winner, due in court down in Pinellas County, Florida, maybe as soon as tomorrow.
You think his attorney will let him come on the show with us?
I tell you what, why don't you throw out the request and let's.
You know what? I just might.
Let's see what happens.
I just might.
We'll do it all again tomorrow. See y'all. One final note from our good friends at the Joint Chiropractic Centers. If you've been waking up just a little stiff, or maybe the workout regimen just has you feeling a little off, well, get into the Joint Chiropractic Centers and let them get you back to normal. They're convenient and affordable. They help you maintain a healthy body, and they can prevent reoccurring issues. Maybe you've never been to a chiropractic center. Well, the Joint has something here for you. You get an initial visit that includes a consultation, exam, and adjustment for just $29, and you never have to worry about an appointment. You can get in there and ask questions like, what's going on here? Here's what's bothering me. How do you fix it? They'll be glad to tell you all of that. Once you're in the system, if you're traveling out of town for maybe a game, for work, for vacation, whatever, there are Joint centers all across the country to help you out. But right here in town, Harbison Boulevard, Forest Drive, Roberts Branch, Sunset Boulevard in Lexington. Open Monday through Friday, 10 to 7, Saturdays, 10 until 4. You never have to worry about appointments or insurance. You don't have to feel bad to feel better at the Joint.